Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics with the Easy Piece Table Runner for January, and just like I promised, we have plenty of snowmen for you. We even use a collection called Snow Day from Moda. Just absolutely adorable. It coordinates with our North Pole Sampler So Long, which we were doing in September. There might be some limited kits available if you're looking for a coordinating project. Super fun. We had a blast using these fun fabrics, and of course the Jolly Snowmen that Casey drew, he did such a great job. I had a lot of fun adding fabrics, and our snowmen have glitter on them. I don't know if you can see that, so they sparkle. It makes it really fun for the kids when they're seeing the pretty table runner, of course, on the table. But let's talk about the construction of the block. Of course, 3 blocks exactly the same. We used some different fabrics just to add to the fun because I couldn't resist using all the really fun fabrics available from the collection. We have kits available. Of course, all of the applique pieces will be prefused and laser cut for you. One thing I wanted to mention so I don't forget is on the little snowman faces, there's some really tiny pieces like their smiles and their eyes. What we've done to make it so that you don't have to try to stitch that down, we've used a product called Heat and Bond Ultra Hold. This is a no-sew product. Everything else of the applique is the traditional Heat and Bond light. You'll stitch around that with the beautiful thread set that Tammy put together for us. But when it comes to the black, you have the option of, you could of course use hand embroidery, which I think would be very difficult personally to make it be the right oval, or you can use the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold. Again, this has extra glue. It is not meant to be a stitch down with a machine because of the glue. It could potentially damage your machine. So I just wanted to mention that we do have the Ultra Hold in there for the pieces that are black, the eyes of the snowman, and then the smiles. And if you don't want to use that, hand embroidery or maybe micron those on, and you'd want to draw on that shape before you applique it to the background. You'd use your assembly diagram. But before we go down that road, let's talk about piecing this block. It's a lot like the initial setup for December, where we had 7.5-inch squares. I have cute little red snowman on here. I have my little village scene in white here, right sides together. And again, just like in December, you have the option of grabbing a ruler and point to point drawing a line and sewing on either side of that line, or we can use that really cool and convenient tool from Fons and Porter where we are setting our tool corner to corner and drawing the line, because I know it's a lot simpler to sew on a line than hope I'm actually achieving a 1/4 inch away from that line. So we would just draw, and I'm just going to rotate my mat because I've got this super cool mat to rotate versus drawing under my arm, and put a pin or 2 in, and let's just go sew on those lines. That's how we're going to do that, and you'll need to do that twice per block. So you'll need, of course, this will make 2 half square triangles, and you'll need a total of 4. So you'd repeat that for a second set. So let's go sew that right now. I'm sewing with the Bernina 770 today. What do I have? I have a 57D on it. It has this nice little gate. It's so cool. I love that, especially when I'm trying to achieve a 1/4 inch seam. You can either cut your thread here or pull out a little bit, rotate it around. You've seen me do that before. I kind of like to just kind of keep it going. All right. Let's trim off those threads. Need to grab a pair of Kai scissors. I don't think I have those with me at the moment. Okay, we'll make do. We'll be okay. So I'm just going to use any straight edge I have, corner to corner, and let's cut that apart. As you'd expect, and like we did last month and for December, we're just going to press to the dark. Works really well. You know, when I was picking fabrics for the table runner, at first I was hesitant to use this white kind of winter scene because I knew the trees would be going all different directions. The kids would be all, you know what, it's okay. I kind of get all caught up in that sometimes. I don't know if whenever you're picking fabrics for a project, maybe out of your stash, you'll worry about that. You know what, it's okay. Plus, you know, when you have this on a table, people are going to be sitting all around the table. So what appears to be upside down to you on this side is actually right side up for the person on the opposite side of the table. So I kind of let my hair down, so to speak, on this one, and I went ahead and put the fabric in, and I think it looks super cute. So I really enjoyed using this collection, I think, to its potential on this particular project. Okay, you saw me clean that up. It's just a matter of habit. I do it without even thinking sometimes, just to trim that away. Like before, like we did in December, we used our larger 12.5-inch ruler. There really aren't 7-inch square up rulers. We're going to square this up to 7. But you know, we can use these big rulers to do that function. It's not only perfect for squaring up a 12.5-inch block, it's just great for squaring up anything to any size you want. I'll look at the white dots because I'm squaring up to a whole number. If I was squaring up to a fraction like a 6.5, I'll be using the black up top. So let's go ahead. I'm using my diagonal line right along my seam. I want to be somewhere inside of my 7, maybe just a touch, so that I have a little bit to trim off on all 4 sides. So I'll turn that. I'm not even going to touch that ruler. I'm just going to leave that right in place. Let's trim that up. So now we know, sometimes I lose track of which sides I've just squared up. Now we know that these 2 sides have been squared up. Go ahead, take your ruler, turn it 180 degrees, and set that ruler on the 2 sides you know you just squared up. This side and this side. And you set that right along this guidance, and diagonally. Now we'll go clean up those 2 sides. Okay, now we should have a perfect 7-inch half-square triangle. Always great to double check your measurements just to make sure everything went as planned. And you, of course, square up the other 3 as well. You've got 1 more. You'd make the same sandwich again. The 2 layers, draw the line or use your ruler, sew in the lines, cut, press the dark. You'd have 4. And we lay them out as shown here in our pattern. Right? So let's close that blade. Should have closed that before. So you'll end up with 4 that you're just going to lay out like any pinwheel you've ever done before. So you'd have 2 more and lay those out. Now I've done that ahead of time. Well, actually, I'll just lay them. I'll just show it to you. Now remember, that one these have been squared up. That one hasn't. So I'm not going to sew those together because this one would need to be squared up. Now look here. Look how I've got 2 trees upside down and 2 this way. You might want to say, well, I want to fiddle around and I want to have my trees going a different direction. Like here, notice how if I put this up here, the trees are here. So you can kind of fiddle around with figuring out if you like your trees in a certain arrangement. Let's see, how would that, I kind of like that because here these 2 opposite ones are going up and here these 2 opposite ones are going down. So that's just something you might want to think about, or you can just randomly go for it. So you've laid everything out, you've confirmed you have a pinwheel like you would expect, right sides together, 1/4-inch pressure seam open, and then you'll sew the 2 rows together. And again, press the seam open, which we've done ahead of time. So let's bring that out. And then I'll show you how to cut this block. This is really cool. So let's make sure our block looks like our site picture. It does. And we'll start off with, this looks pretty familiar to me, guys, a 2¼ inch cut away from the center seam. We did this last month. But the block looks completely different than last month, which is really fun. I like that even though we're kind of, well, I think also last month we kind of had like an hourglass thing. This is a pinwheel. So it's going to present differently even though we're going to cut it the same. So a 2 1/4 inch away. Again, I've got my 1/4 inch seam right here. We talked about that last month. I'm going to lay that on my dash line. Because my ruler's 2 1/2, if I have a 1/4 inch here, I know everything to the right of that here is 2 1/4. So let's go ahead and make our first cut. And we'll rotate. We're not going to disturb our fabric. This is the larger spinning mat. There's 2 out that I'm aware of. There's the, I believe, the 12 inch, and then there's the 17 inch. So because our blocks are starting off, at least at this portion, bigger than the 12, this is why we've been using this larger spinning mat. Otherwise, the fabric would be kind of laying over the edge. So I do find that when I'm using a smaller block, I like the smaller spinning mat, but if you know you're going to be working with bigger blocks and you only want to invest in one spinning mat, I would get this one because that way it'll accommodate everything. All right, let's turn that back upright so that our site picture looks like our page. So we just did step 7 here. Now in step 8, notice how everything outlined in blue, which is everything on the perimeter, is rotated clockwise, just 90 degrees. Oh, let me retrim that right there. Okay, so we're just going to rotate everything 90 degrees. Isn't that something how just a simple rotation just makes the block look so complicated? And it's not. It was just a simple movement and positioning that now gives it this look. So look at that. Isn't that cool? Just like before, you've got 3 pieces in each row, right sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and press open. We've been doing this month after month. Once that's all sewn together, this is what your block is going to look like. So let me move these pieces out of the way. And we found a new tool. I can't wait to show this to you. It's so fun. You've seen me probably in other videos kind of struggle with opening my seams. Well, Tammy found this cool notion that is by a Clover. And I love what it does because you've seen me before when I press my seams open. You've seen me, I warm up the seam. And so many times, I'm in there with my fingers trying to get it open, and a lot of times they're more sealed than that, where they're kind of like almost together. And I kind of struggle to get that open. She's got this cool tool that actually has a dual function. The first function here is, you might have seen me use like the purple thing, where when a seam is maybe going to potentially roll, this is a nice way to keep that seam down. So as the machine's approaching, your fingers are not in the way. You're using a tool and it keeps that seam down so that the pressure foot is not going to roll that seam over. The other side of the tool, however, is what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to press that seam closed. Let me try to press it because that's how it's going to come off the sewing machine, right? Fully closed. But watch how cool this is. This machine, if you're right-handed, you're going to use this in your left hand. I love that it can be heated. It's completely heat resistant. Your iron is not going to melt this thing. I love that I'm not burning my fingers anymore. I have burned my fingers so many times trying to open that seam and just gotten too close with the iron. So I love that this will do that for me and just look how it just opens it. And almost the more you kind of lay it down, it just, even on a seam where there's a lot going on, has no problem laying that open for you, which I absolutely love that. So if you too, sometimes struggle to get the seams open, or maybe you're finding you're burning yourself, consider investing in this tool. It is just really high caliber and high quality, that this is going to be one of those things you only have to purchase one time. So it's something that I'm definitely going to be using because I burned myself so many times and I'm tired of doing that. So this is a pretty cool tool. Okay, now that's our block. So I press it again from the front side, of course. make it all nice and flat. So you'll make that block 3 times. And then will come in your applique. There's nothing new or different really about this applique. You've got your background, you'll put your top and your bottom portion, and of course you'll applique on there. And if you loved having coordinating thread, again, Tammy picked some beautiful silky thread. They work so lovely in your machine. And you know, if you don't want to have to stitch around that, go ahead and use that Ultra Bond, which we've already put inside the laser cut kit. So of course, that's Easy Piece Table Runner for January, February. You can imagine there's plenty of hearts. I've had a great time designing that. I can't wait to show you that. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.